Welcome to another episode of the Sipping and Tripping podcast, where we connect with amazing people. Today's topic is in celebration of Black fathers during Black History Month, and it's all about fatherhood. I am your host, Desmond Black, and today we have Robert Scott, who is a Jamaican father of three successful sons. He's a business executive that uses his business principles to raise his family. And Mr. Adam Wilson, who is a father of three, a husband, and a mental health and wellness coach. He owns and hosts his own podcast called Inner King Initiatives. How are you guys doing today, and how's your week so far?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, you can't complain, man. I'm alive and well.
I hear that. It's very cool, very cool. So I know Robert's from Jamaica, and you're from
I'm from Houston, Texas.
Texas. How's the weather out there?
It was cold. Today is kind of warm. Houston bipolar. One day we'll get a breeze, and the next day it'd be toasty.
Interesting. Yeah. So today's actually a good day too, but it's been like 9 degrees, like between 7 and 10 degrees. So it's been brutal.
Yeah, I haven't
Especially at
gotten that low
nighttime.
yet.
Yeah. So and we'll see if it holds up. But part of my plan was to visit with my family in Texas this year. So we'll see. Finances and all that, everything gets crazy. Okay. So Robert, what would you like to tell the viewers about yourself and where you come from?
Well, I'm from Jamaica. I've been in Jamaica all my life. I'm a business executive in the water business, spring water business. I have three sons, and they're really doing great. And what I'm impressed about them is not what they've managed to achieve in their lives, but who they are as men. And I want to say that a couple of years ago, there have been a couple of instances where I thought my life would have ended. And arrogantly, I said, well, maybe God has a bigger design for me. But then the more humble approach I took was, well, really not really about me, because I was meant to be the vessel for those boys, my sons, to become who they are. So therefore, I realized that my role as a father is really to give them the very best that they can achieve. And so therefore, I am truly satisfied, I'm truly humbled, and I'm really grateful for what God has given me and allowed me to give them.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
Oh, I'm the CEO of a distribution company and the CEO of the spring water company here in Jamaica.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Mr. Adam?
So I am Adam Wilson. I am a father of three, as you said. Oh man, I have two girls and a boy. So
Mm,
yeah, I always used to think I wish I had all boys at one point, but I actually enjoyed having a girl. I know a lot of men, we kind of like, oh, I don't want a girl, I don't want a girl. But it's nothing like watching your daughter just come out of the womb, man. Just how it changes your life and how it just brings healing to see your kids running around. But outside of that, I am a husband of 8 years this year. And I am the host of the Inner King Initiative podcast, as well as the coaching platform that I created that is specifically for men, just to be that pillar in life that a lot of men didn't get to see.
okay, that's nice. See, as for myself, I have four kids. I have three sons and a daughter. You know, I guess I started late in the game because my daughter, she's one, she'll be two in April, and then I have an 11-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. But the 2 and the 5-year-old, but they have birthdays in March, so that's coming up. But it's
Man, good
definitely
luck.
it's definitely a journey. That when they say daddy's little girl, I guess I ain't there yet. I mean, because maybe she's not talking and
She's
she
young.
just started walking, but I'm waiting for that moment where like that bond is like really there, like with my sons.
It's gonna grow.
Because my boys, they drive me up a wall, but love them to death. They all got their own personalities. It's amazing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's gonna grow. I often say, and a lot of people actually say it now, is daddy's girls aren't born, they're built. So it happens
oh,
over time. There was a time where my daughter was like, I don't really care for anybody. But now I'm her
oh,
favorite person in the whole world.
yeah, and it's crazy. Just last night was the first time where my daughter was like all about me, and I was like, you feeling okay? And I know she didn't understand me, but I'm like, you okay? She's like climbing on me, and like her brothers was playing with her, but she just kept coming over to me. So I was like, all right. So I definitely embraced it. I was like, I know this is the early stages, and I know it'll get deeper as time progresses.
Oh yeah.
So um, on my platform, I like to conversate, educate, and entertain. And today, like I said in the introduction, we're going to talk about the trials and tribulations and what it means to be a Black father. So without further ado, let's take it back to day one when you first held your child for the first time. Tell me what your reaction was when you was like, okay, now I'm a father.
Well, that moment when my eldest son, he's 36, and when I held him, there was first a feeling of, wow, am I ready for this? I looked around. I didn't see an instruction manual. You know, he came
Right,
by
right.
himself. You know, and I said, "Wow, am I ready for this?" And then as you go through, you realize then that your life is changing because you're no longer thinking only about yourself or your partner. You're having a youngster that you have to nurture and groom. And I want to just fast forward to when my eldest he got to 21 years old. I Up to then I was certain about aspects of parenting. After 21, it became a little hazy, and I wondered why. And you know what I realized? Both my parents actually died when I was 21.
Mm,
So up until 21, I had a roadmap. Right? My parents guided me. They died when I was in university. Now, after 21, it's up to me, and I have nothing to look at to say, okay,
right.
the script continues. And that was a sobering moment for me. And that actually points out the importance of us as fathers in guiding our youngsters.
Mm.
Okay. You
Yeah. For me, it like you said, whoa. Like it felt like the whole world stopped when I was holding my son. And I was like, man, I'm really a dad now. Like I can't be, in the streets having fun. Like I have responsibilities now. And it
right.
took me for a while to get my stride, but it was just that initial shock. Like I really just had a kid.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, I know for me, man, like my first one, um, I don't know. I felt like I won the lottery and then some. And my oldest, his mom, it was a C-section, right? So it's the
Mm.
first time I'm going through this, and I'm trying to be a man. Like, everybody was like the doctors and the nurses. Do you need to sit down? You need a sip of water? I'm like, no, I'm good. I got this. But I'll tell you what, though, like it's something about that blood, all the blood that was hitting the floor and stuff. I was like, whoo, and I did feel a little woozy, but I hopefully I played it all. I'm good though. I'm good. And then when they put, I don't know what it's called, the little clamps when they pull them open. I was looking at that, and a couple times I had to look away. I'm like, this is weird. But then I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna tough it out. And I looked, and then I was fine. And then when they start, and I seen the baby. And then the rib cage and stuff, it was the craziest thing. But once they pulled him out and I was able to hold him, when you about to cry, you feel that little thing, the bridge of your nose. I was
Yep. Trying to
like,
hold it back a little
man,
bit.
let's hold that back. And then when I held him, I ain't want to give him back. I didn't. I like I said, I felt like I won $1 million and more. And it was definitely a proud moment. And from that moment forward, I said, you know what? No matter what it takes, I got to change my life. I got to do everything in my power to give him the best life possible. So
Mhm.
that was my experience. It was a
That
joy. Each kid it was a little different. Uh,
absolutely, yeah.
like my second one, I think. I also was on the up and up. Like it was real exciting, and then not saying I wasn't excited for my third and fourth because I was, but it wasn't that same level of excitement, if that makes sense. Um, and maybe it's because it just threw me for a loop. It's just like it was late in the pregnancy. My second kid's mom was like, "I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Again?" And a part of me didn't even believe it until I started going to the doctor's appointments, and I was always on edge. I think with each kid, I was nervous. Like, oh, just let the kid come out healthy with all the limbs and ligaments, and that was my major concern. So I think that took away from the excitement a little bit, and then because even when he was born or all my kids was born, I was right there, fingers crossed. And I don't even believe in all that, the superstition, but I had my fingers crossed, like, oh,
Yeah.
everything there, all the toes, I'm counting.
I
So,
thought I was the
and
only
it,
one
it
who
is a
did
blessing, man. I got 4 kids, and it's a blessing.
that. I thought I was the only one who did that with the checklist. One head, two
Yeah,
hands, 2 feet, 10 fingers, 10 toes. I went
yeah,
through
Make
yeah,
that
sure
yeah.
they
checklist.
healthy.
I thought I was the
It
only
makes
one who
you
did
healthy
that.
because I'm not gonna lie. Like a lot of people ask me, like, what if they didn't have all their faculties or limbs? What would you do then, and how would you feel? And honestly, I didn't want to think about those things because honestly, I don't know what I would do. Like, I know that's a different world. Like having kids in itself is difficult. So now you have a kid with a disability. It's like, oh my God, now what? So
Mhm.
it's hard. So I'm thankful that they came out healthy and fine and everything is okay. So
Yeah. It's hard to be prepared for that, though. Especially if you've never been through it. Even like as parents, right? Every kid is different. Like you can be prepared for that last kid, but that next kid can be total opposite. Like my son was a
right.
quiet baby. All he did was sleep all day, every day. My daughter, she screamed all day. I wasn't ready for that.
Mm, yeah. It's crazy you said that because when my first was born, he he didn't even cry. I was like, I went to everybody that I knew that had kids. I'm like, everybody told me being a father and having kids was hard. This is easy. He was quiet. He didn't start crying until he was 7 months old. So then I'm like,
Mm.
what just happened? Because it came out of nowhere. Like you go 7 months, no crying. I'm like, this is perfect. Then it was crying every night, every night. I ain't gonna lie. I was
Mhm.
that selfish guy. I roll over, look over my shoulder, look at the kid's mom. She's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Man, I got work tomorrow." So do I. I'm like, holler at me in a couple hours. She always got up. I rarely got up. So and that was me being selfish. But yeah, and then let's see, my second, he was okay. He cried a little bit, and I was like, this is crazy. Now the third one, and my daughter, oh my God, nonstop, every hour. I'm
Mhm.
like, this is too much. And then,
Yep.
people I've vented to was like, maybe you should see a therapist. I have a therapist. That's the crazy thing. But it's one of those things that, like, about parenting that it's no, like you said, Robert, like there's no manual. It's no
Um,
instructions on how to be a parent. Like it's one of those things you just got to live and you got to do it. You know,
mhm. And as a father,
which is
be
which is a
make the
perfect
adjustments real
segue.
time.
Yes. So, which is like a perfect segue what I was about to say. Do you think that life teaches you how to be a father, or do you think it comes from having a good father or father figure in your life to show you the ropes?
I'll let Robert go first.
Okay. So I go back to the analogy when I pointed out at 21 years old, my parents died. And so for me, that track was so very important, right? My dad was a professional. So when you left high school, there was no question. You go to university, you do further studies. So
Mhm.
having a parent that gives you that track is critical. And so it means therefore then that I inherited that track that my kids go on. And that is so important because I work in an environment where a lot of like my factory workers, many of them are very bright, but some don't know their fathers, they don't know their mothers.
Mhm.
So they may come through the school life and they're getting a job, but there's no real direction.
Mhm.
There's existing. And then what is so sad is that you see the wasted potential. And yes, in the workplace, you will do some amount of development for them and so on. But how much more could they be? There was one gentleman, I must say that we had the team games in our organization, and so he was on my team. And I watched him and I realized that he was very smart. He didn't speak very much, but just how he moved and how he did things. And the funny thing is, he resembled very much my middle son, Justin. And I keep saying, where but for the grace of God go I. If I weren't in a professional home and so on, then maybe my son would be working on the factory floor too. And part of the problem was that I realized that he was bright, but the work that he was doing was uninspiring. So he had punctuality issues. And because of that, his supervisors really didn't put much effort into him. But I saw his potential. And as I was trying to talk with him and so on, he eventually left the company for something that maybe paid a few dollars more. But I said, that person had potential and could have been such a contributor to the company. But he didn't have a rudder, he didn't have a guide, he didn't have a mentor. And so, maybe he's meandering at the same place 3 years later than when I saw him then.
That's you.
Well, I say a little bit of both, honestly, because and it also depends on your situation, how you came up. If you didn't have a father, you didn't have that parental blueprint, or if you even with the mother, you have the mother wounds and things like that. You don't really see the good in it, but you also can go into the world and meet people and learn from them, right? And so I did a little bit of both. I took what I learned from my parents and kept what I felt was good, but also went out and learned from other men, like how did they fare there, like what are you trying, let me try it in my household, and just off my experiences really. So it's a combination of both for me.
Got you. Yeah. So it's funny you said that, it depends on how your upbringing was. I didn't have the best upbringing as far as my parents. They separated. I was in foster home from like 2 to 5. You know, and I used to see my father every summer. I lived with my mom during the school year. My mom worked 2 jobs most of her life. To try to provide. So you know, she wasn't as present as she may want it to be. And my father, well, he wasn't really that present either. Like I said, I seen him in the summertime, but he was an off and on drug addict. But there was a lot of things that he instilled into me when I was younger that I instill into my kids now. Like it's a lot of things you can learn something from anybody, right? And it's like I said, it's a
Absolutely.
lot that I've learned from my father. So I think life really conditions us to be fathers, because you have to go through the motions, you have to feel that fire so you can know what it feels like, and that's how
Right.
you grow with anything in life. You got to go through it. So I mean, I sometimes I wonder how life would have been had my father been a little bit more active and present, but who knows? I don't know what that would have looked like. Maybe it would have been the same way. I don't know. Because a lot of life lessons that fathers should teach their kids, and it just was absent from my life. So,
Yeah, and sometimes just their presence is a big teacher as well. That's one of the things
right,
I've learned, because my dad was around physically, but he was always at work, so he wasn't present. And
right,
so I've learned that the power of presence, my kids learn a lot more than me just teaching a lesson every blue moon.
right. That's good. I mean, hey, but nowadays the kids they need those life lessons because
Yeah, they
they
do.
like robots these days, and I hate it. The most simplest things they act like they're confused or they don't know how to do it, but they know how to pick up a controller and play a video game. It's like, come on, that's
Sound like
more
my son.
complex than what I'm trying to teach you.
Right.
So,
Or sometimes you have the kids who don't want to listen either. Like you're trying to teach and they're just like, okay. Like, all right, whatever. I tried.
but society is pushing them in that direction though. That's what makes it
Hmm.
difficult. So as parents, man, like I said, like we all said, it's no rule book on how to parent, but we have to find ways to get them out of that, give them things to do, like read a book. Like sometimes I tell my kids, all right, now you got to spend an hour of doing something that's educational. They hate it, but
Right.
they do it. And I don't care if they just going through the motions. Just the simple fact that them opening up a book and I hear them out reading out loud, because that's what I tell them to do. I don't want you to be like, oh, I'm reading in my head. Like read it out loud. I want to hear stuff. So as long as they do that, especially my oldest, I want you to teach your younger brothers, right? That's part of being mature. Teach your younger brothers. And he hates it, but he do it because at the end of the day, my word is gold.
Right. And
So,
when we're going through, even think about it for our childhood, when you're going through the motions, your parents like, oh, do this, do that, you don't really want to do it. But then you look back later and you're like, huh. So it's like
yeah,
in that road of fatherhood, you learn like I have to make you do things that you don't want to do, but you'll thank me for it later.
right. Um, Prior to having your child, right? Did you guys ever find yourself consumed with wondering what the kid was going to look like, whose features the kid was going to have? Did you ever find yourself being consumed by that thought?
No, not really. I don't recall having that thought. I think maybe more looking towards, who will they be, what will they be when they grow up? Because I've assessed each other their personality from they were very very young, and I'm happy to say that in our cases that I've guessed accurately as to who they become based on their personalities and so on. So that didn't actually consume me any at all.
So when your kids was born, you just bypass like the early stage and say, oh, where they gonna be when they like 30 years old? And you just jump right to it. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
once I do the check, 2 hands, 2 feet, 10
He didn't
toes,
care.
10 fingers. I'm saying, who is this gonna be? Is this gonna be the next Nelson Mandela? Is this, so you're thinking big as to who they can be later on, and maybe it's just me, but that was what was more in my
Right?
space
It's
at that
it's
time.
nothing wrong with it, but I think that's putting high expectations and like an extra burden at a young, like you know what I'm saying, early on. Because I know if I would have thought about that, like every day would have been a process for me. Every day would have been like, okay, I got to be on top of this, and they got to do this. Like I was trying to live free and let them live free, because once you put them expectations, like right now, my oldest, it's a lot of expectations, and sometimes I find myself getting a little bit more frustrated with them than I should because those expectations are not being met. So I'm trying my best
Mhm.
to break free from that, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, you modify it after a while because you see what each person wants for themselves. So, like for example, my youngest son, I looked at his personality, and he's a bit of an introvert, and he's extremely focused. And in him, I saw, well, you could be a military officer, you could be a programmer, but he's not interested in that. He's interested in finance. So I realized then at some stage, even the elders, that I try not to live vicariously through them, but
Mm.
create a
That's
space that they
okay.
can be the very best that they want to be. So, for example, I'm involved in sports. One or two of them not really that much of a sports person, but that's fine, because they've done other things that have made me proud. So it's
Mm.
also, I think, what I'm getting at then, it's our development as individuals. That as we grow and we develop, we also let go of certain things, and maybe we wanted to be a doctor and we didn't have the funding or what have you, so you channel them to be a doctor. We realize then that's really not fair as a father.
Right.
You should be there for them to be whatever it is that they really want to be. And I just want to make the point too that it's harder now for this generation. Me growing up, it was lawyer, doctor, Indian chief, full stop. Now, even in the era of IT, there's so many professions there
Hmm.
that
It's a
even
lot.
though they can do so many things, sometimes they need a little guidance in not telling them what to do, but helping them to make the right decisions in making those life choices for themselves.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely. So I didn't do the like this is what you're gonna be when you get older thing. I think I was in shock when I first had my child. I was just like I wasn't paying attention to the features. Um, I was more so in shock that I was really a father at that point.
Now, did it change with each kid, or it was like the?
Each kid, it was still like, oh, I did this again. uh, but it's like my daughter already knew. Actually, in fact, I was so in tune with her. I think it was like the 3 month checkup, and they was like, "Oh, we can't see the baby gender yet." And I said, "Oh, it's a girl." And I said it was the straightest face, like calm, and everybody looked at me. Even my wife was like, "Huh?" And I was like, "She's a girl." And they were like, "Well, how do you know?" I said, "I just know. Like, I feel like she told me. Like, I just know." And the next, they were all like, "Yo, okay, whatever." The next visit, they confirmed she was a girl. I said, "See, told y'all," and I was so calm with it. So with the second one, I already like had the excitement. I'm like, "Oh, I'm a girl dad. This is about to be fun." I just didn't have that like initial like, "Okay, are you mom or me?" Because they
Hmm.
change too. They come out looking like mom, and the next thing you know, they look like you.
Yeah, it's crazy. My okay. So I got two baby moms, right? Like the first one is black, right? So my oldest, he had blue eyes up until he was like 6 months old. So then I'm like, what in the world? He's the only one that I got like a DNA test on, and
Right.
and they came back. It was mom. I'm like, how they got blue eyes? But they changed though. After like
Mhm.
8 months, he got brown eyes. So, but I was like, how can a baby have blue eyes for 6 months?
Right.
So that was an experience in itself. But yeah, I don't know. I think for me, like for each one of my kids, I'm like, what they gonna look like? Who they gonna look like? Like that was like something that was so prevalent with me. Like I just the anticipation was killing me, and I know the first week they go through changes, but I still was looking from day to day. I'm like, oh my God, like who?
We
And then
changing. We
everybody was like,
changing.
it look like mom, like, and some people was like shaking my head. Some people was like, oh, look like your twin. I'm like, nah, you gotta see the mom before you can make that conclusion. So it was definitely a journey.
I want to give a joke though that
What'd you say?
my middle son, we thought, well, first thing, the Lord knows why He didn't give me any daughters. The Lord knows why. Okay,
All right.
but the middle son, we thought he was gonna be a girl. And I don't want to see anything from any ultrasound. I want that surprise, boy, girl, etc. Now, in Jamaica, we have a saying that if the tummy of the mom is pointed, then it's a boy. If the tummy is
Mhm.
rounded, then it's a girl. So my middle son, the tummy was round. You kept very still, not like the boys were moving a lot. So we said it was gonna be a girl. So my wife and I, we came up with the name Justine. It's gonna be Justine. So the day when he was born and we found it was a boy, my wife said, "But we plan to name him Justine. What do we do?" I said, "Just drop off the E and you call him Justin."
Interesting. Interesting. Now, okay, it's a good question. So, the first child, did you want it to be a boy or a girl?
A boy.
Boy, I
You said a
actually
boy.
put mine in order. Yeah, I wanted a boy first.
Okay. See, I think every father wants a son first, right? I know I
Mhm.
did because it's like going into it. I was like, if I had a daughter, a couple of reasons why I wanted a son. I'm like, if I have a daughter, I can't do boy things with her, right? Like
Right.
I can't tag her in the chest. When I'm talking like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You just got to be gentle.
Get rough with
And
them.
then also, I think the biggest thing was I knew it's going to come a point in time where it's the dating phase. And I know every father say this, but yes, yeah, every father say this, but like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for that. I'm not thinking about it. And my son told me last night, oh, hopefully when she's like 10 years old, she gonna have a whole bunch of boyfriends. I'm like, watch your mouth. I don't want no boys. And I know it's the inevitable, but it's like, no, get out of here.
Right.
And one of the questions I was gonna ask you guys was having your first kid or having kids in general, did it force you to look at life and take life more serious?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So I say that because I know for me, I was like, I got to change a lot of things about me. Some of the things I watch, some of the things I say, I just got to change with my daughter. When I had my sons, I didn't care. I'm like, I'm just gonna be me. But like, yeah, like the
Same.
content and stuff with a daughter, I'm like, yeah, no. Because
Same.
especially nowadays, they're so consumed by technology and social media. Social media. So I'm not trying to be one of the ones that's going to influence her in that direction. It's crazy,
Right.
but my saving grace is I got some time. She's about to be 2, so I got a lot of time to.
At least you got
But
the
it
awareness.
definitely made me look at life differently though, because I was a wild boy
Mhm.
growing up. I was I was in the streets. I was all over the place. I had this girl, that girl, and so now it's like, nah. I don't even want to tell her those type of stories that I was like that. You know what I'm trying to say? It's
Mhm.
definitely different, and I look at things in life a little bit more serious.
It makes you prioritize. I think one of the things that got me, like you said, with your son is like, oh, my son, okay, we about to have fun. We about to be
Yeah,
outside, right? But it's like when that daughter hit, it was like, okay, I'm the example the man that you're going to be looking for when you look for your husband, I have to get right because I don't want you breaking home bad. And that really got me going. I kept reminding myself that over and over and over.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I have to get better. I have to get better. And I have to show up better. But even as like father with the daughter, just being there, loving her, it kind of deflects the social media influence and stuff because she's always going to respect you as her first love, her superhero.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's all about training yourself and conditioning yourself because I tell myself all the time, it's not that I never said the word sorry, but I will say that it's not something that comes out my mouth too often. But like nowadays, you know, especially if I'm in the house and I look at my daughter, then whoever I'm arguing with or whoever I'm having a correlation with, I'll go to them like, listen, I'm gonna take accountability because I was wrong and I should never approach you that way, right? It's something that I'm working on, and I have to because, like you said, we are the role models for our daughters, right? We want our daughters to emulate our fathers in the aspect of who they date, right? And I don't want my daughters dating some disrespectful, you know what I'm trying to say? So she's forcing me to change a little bit, and it was a hard
even for
process
boys
in the
though.
beginning. Say it again.
I'll say even for boys, they have to see it because that's the blueprint of what kind of men they're going to be when they get older.
And you know, it's crazy you said that because here I am talking about my daughters helping me change, but I never had that thought process with my boys. But you're right though. If they see me act up, they'll grow up and they'll start acting up. You know, because I even see signs now. My kids started to be a little testy and try to emulate me in the worst ways. And I'm like, hold up now, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
Now the one thing is my one son, my 5-year-old, it's annoying, but I love it at the same time because he keeps me in check. Sometimes I get mad or I say something, and he'll be like, "We made house rules, and you're not sticking to it." So my 5-year-old, he'd be like,
good
"We
thing.
need some kind of consequence for you when you don't abide by the rules that you set forward." And I'm like, you know what? He got me. And sometimes I'm like, if you don't get my face, but then I get on the phone with somebody and be like, "Look, my son just put me in check." So
yeah, he holding the standard that you set.
For me, it definitely forced you to take a more mature look, and you consciously try to guide them to be not how I was at a certain age. I remember when my eldest and his first girlfriend, and it's her birthday, and they're going out and say, "Hey, come, go back inside, take off that T-shirt, put on a button-up shirt. It's a special occasion. Honor her." Say, "Okay, daddy, okay." Another time they were, it's birthday or something like that, and I said, "All right, let me take you to the restaurant. They're gonna take public transport. So no, let me take you. And they have enough money." And he said yes, and he what he was gonna say, "Okay, here's my credit card, just in case." And when they got there, I said, "Okay, let me take a picture of you both." Took a picture, and then while they were at the dinner, I rushed to the document center and I printed a photo of them both. When I picked them up, I said, "Come, go around the corner and write your name on this," and present it to her. And she was really pleased. But it was a lesson for him in how to treat a lady, you know? And that lesson stayed with him. And so I was happy that I really got the opportunity to do that, which I may not have done it when I was younger at his age, but knowing what I know now, I was happy to pass it on.
right. So as a dad, were there a moment when you experienced in your fatherhood journey that you was like, I'm not prepared for this?
Countless times.
Yeah, that
What'd you say?
is. I mean, it.
But
Yeah.
it's up to you. I give you an example. So in Jamaica, if you're professional, your child, you put them to private school, prep schools, and the fees are not exactly cheap. So sometimes you have to do what you have to do to make the payment. You say, listen, if I am going to be the father that I want to be, then it means that my son has to get the education that I expect them to have. So you make the necessary sacrifices. And yes, you may have other things planned with the funds or what have you, but you do it because it's the right thing. What you define as a father does stand by his responsibilities and gives his children the very best. So even if you want to have a nice meal, you invest with them. And that's why for me, just extend it to another point, that if a child ever comes to me and say they're not going to their graduation, whether it be from high school or university, I say, no, 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 you gotta go. Because that certificate you get is really the share certificate for my investment in you. So I want to take a picture with that certificate, whether it's a degree or school leaving certificate, because that is actually the fruits of my investment, you getting that education.
Mm.
Got you, Adam. An example of a moment where in your fatherhood journey you was like, listen, I ain't ready for this, or I'm not prepared for this.
Birth. I'll go back to birth because with my son, I had no idea what to do,
Right.
and there was a lot of chaos that sent my wife into labor, right? And so I'm like, what do I do? I'm the only one here. She can't think straight. She's emotional and going into labor. So what am I going to do? For me, that was the the biggest one for me. Like, okay, I'm not prepared for this, or how am I going to get through this? I mean, even I can give you another example of just leading the family, right? Just trying to figure out how to do that. How do I show up as the man when my example wasn't a great example, right? And I know a lot of people are dealing with that. And this is those two moments for me.
Got you. I would say for me, it's like, definitely the whole crying stage, once that start like every day, like definitely not prepared for that. It's
Anybody can
different.
answer.
It turns your life and your world upside down, and then when you try everything in your power, like you might feed the baby or make a bottle and they still crying, or they throw the bottle and they have a temper tantrums, and then you pick the baby up, you try to do emulate the mothers and bring them close to your chest and they just pushing away from you. That was for me is a moment where I was like, yeah, I ain't ready for this. And it just, I like challenges and stuff. So for me, it's like it was very frustrating. I get into my own head and stuff. I'm like, I'm doing everything possible. Everything I see in movies, everything I ever heard from any father or mother, and it's not working. So that was a moment for me where I'm like, yeah, this is a lot.
Yeah, that's screaming.
But
That's
we
screaming
fight through it
vacation.
though. That's what we do.
Absolutely, you have
Uh,
to adjusting in the moment.
Now I know Robert got five sons, and then you mentioned you got a daughter, right? So when raising daughters, right, what is the bathroom situation like when you're out in public? Like if you're out in a restaurant or something like that.
Mom takes.
But
So
what if it's just you?
I have an instance where it was just me, and I have taken her into a men's bathroom like one time,
Mm,
but it was I peeked in and like nobody was in there, and I ran her into the stall, and then by the time we finished, nobody came in. But now what I do is I actually look for family bathrooms.
right. See that's good. That's why I love the places that do have family bathrooms, but a lot of places really don't. And it's crazy. I came up with that question because, well, somebody posed it to me when I said I was gonna have this episode. Somebody was like, you got a daughter. Like, what you gonna do when it's just you and her, or you and her and your sons, and y'all out in public, and she gotta use the bathroom? And I was like, you know what? It's a good question. That's something that I ain't ready for. I was like, because as a man, I can't go into a woman's bathroom, and if they don't have a family bathroom, that means it's only the men's bathroom. And you ain't no man go in their right mind gonna say, "I'm gonna take." You know what I'm saying? So
But you know
that's
what's
a head
crazy?
scratcher for me.
I've been in the bathroom before, and a guy walked in with like two
Oh,
kids, two girls, and this is bunch of men at urinals just holding themselves, and we're all looking like, really, dude? And
yeah,
so I was like, it's weird for the father, and at the same time, it's weird for the men that are in there because it's like I'm using the bathroom not as a kid in here. So I took that into
right.
consideration too. And I'm like, it has to be family bathroom, or you just gonna have to hold it.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the thing. That's the only thing I came up with. Just gonna have to hold it. But this is the thing. I was like, when I was talking to a friend of mine, they say, "Well, what if it's like in the middle of dinner? You just gonna smell it the whole time?" And I was like, "So now you put me in a situation that like." I don't know. Like it's
What do I do?
crazy because I am not trying to take my daughter in no men's bathroom. I can't do it. So I don't know. I'm honestly thinking about it now. I might have to get it to go. I might
Yeah,
have to sign it up and say,
one for the boys.
say it again.
That's one for the boys.
He's like,
Yeah,
I
I
have to worry
mean,
about that.
so I don't know. I might have to just wrap it up and like, I just gotta get it to go. You know, I think
Wrap
that
up
would
what?
be, huh?
The food. He said, wrap up
So
what?
so yeah, because I just don't think I can do it. I can't. I mean, I've been in the men's bathroom and people brought their daughters. I thought it was the weirdest thing. Um, I mean, it's one thing if you take it to a stall with the door closed. That's one thing, but
Mm.
I don't know. It's weird. So that's just something to think about. Like I said, hopefully I'm not like out in public. Well, I don't think I would go out to dinner anyways with the kids by myself because that's a hassle. With my kids now, even with the kids' mom, that's a hassle in itself. I can't do it. Like we could hardly eat. We might eat like 5 minutes and then like yeah, we might be 5 minutes and then we gotta leave because the kids are just they don't get along and it's just too much noise. They hyperactive. I think all my kids are ADHD. I really do. So it's
Even
hard
my
enough to
son
just go
is.
with both parents.
But if I may jump in here, that as a podcaster, you're in a powerful place because you can actually share thoughts. And maybe one of the points you want to leave to these companies, these quick serve companies or dining restaurants, that they
Right.
really need to invest in more family restrooms.
Absolutely
Right.
should.
Right.
Because you just really highlighted the difficult, challenging situation, especially fathers face. And if we want fathers to be more involved in the lives of their families and their daughters, then they can also play a part by ensuring that there are adequate family restrooms.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So how about this? Has there ever been a situation where um your pride wouldn't allow you to like you got the kids and you felt like it was out of control or you feel like nothing you was doing was right. Did your pride ever get in the way where you didn't want to call the baby moms and be like, hey, I need help?
No,
No.
honestly.
Because a
Um,
lot of times as men, we want to be the one in control. We want to control the situation, and a lot of times, like we feel like, oh, I'm a man. I'm supposed to have all the answers. So I know a lot of times as fathers, we might need that help, but we won't reach out. So that's what I was getting at.
I'll
And
ask for like advice if I have to. But I've
Mm,
never like had I think for me, pride kills growth. So I
Mm.
never really cared to have the pride because it's like, okay, I need to learn how to do this. So I wouldn't particularly call her. Sometimes I would, but my kids are it's the opposite for me. With me, they're great. But with her,
yeah.
it's like turn up time. They're off the walls. And so I don't really have the issue. Like if I walk through the door, they're like, okay, dad's here. It's time to straighten up. Right.
Right.
So I never, if I, at the beginning, like with diaper changing and stuff, I did call her to say, okay, how do I do this for real?
Yeah. I think for me, for diaper changing, like I think, and I don't like to go to my mom for nothing either, but I think for something like that, for me, my pride got in the way. I was like, I'm not gonna give the satisfaction to my kid's mom. So I went to my mom, like, show me how to do this. I'm gonna ask you once, maybe twice, and I won't ask you again. Because women and mothers and significant others, they like to throw stuff in your face, especially when you're arguing. Oh, that's why you don't even know how to change a diaper and stuff like that. So for me, I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna figure this out on my own, or I'm gonna call
Right.
somebody. So that's how it was for me.
Yeah,
You know,
listen, I am very clear that I have no problem deferring to higher authority.
None.
I have
yeah,
no
you said
problem.
higher authority. So your significant other is higher than you.
Yeah, higher authority in this area. So I make no apologies. I make
Hmm.
no apologies. Matter of fact,
Right.
there's a joke that I say that I have the last word in my house. So in
Right.
my house, I have the last word. Yes, dear.
That's hilarious, man. Okay. So one of the other things I like to do is like I try myself. I try my best to be consistent with it. I like to post a question of the day, right? So like a week or so ago, I posted a question. I said, who comes first, you or your child? So I'm gonna ask you guys. You put
Me.
yourself first or the child first?
It depends on what aspect. So I put myself first because I have to be the best me to be the best
Right,
father for them. So
right,
it's really their benefit. Is that's just pouring into myself and taking care of my health first thing in the morning, like I don't do with my kids, and I'm up. I'm pouring into myself first, and then I go deal with my kids.
right. Robert?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. My default would be that for them, I would put them first. But I always remember what they say when you're traveling in an airplane and that mask comes down, you put it over your nose first, and then you
Yep.
put it onto them. So, so I can really understand what Adams is saying, that you have to make yourself strong first
Right.
before
Mhm.
you can do for them. So to me, I look at it another way too, that before becoming a dad, you want to ensure that you have certain things clear. We have too many teenage kids around the place. Wherever if we become, we get our skills, our training, our education, then you look towards being a dad. Then we can do a better job for the entire family. So, that's one perspective one could look at it from.
Yeah,
Right.
it's all about
Yeah. So
perspective
it
for
was
me.
very interesting because I think a lot of times people want to be politically correct, right? And they would say, "Oh, society want me to say my kids," and I think that's their automatic response. Now, as Adam said, like when the question was asked to me, I said, "Well, what good is it to me to put my kids first if I'm not in order?" Right.
Exactly.
So I was like, I had to put myself first. Now that's generally speaking. Obviously, I'm saying like, as long as they got food and shelter and clothing, then as long as they have the necessities, then I have to put myself first, right? Because a better me means a better them, and I just don't see it the other way around. Like if you put them first, then that means you let yourself go into default, right? And that's never good for anybody. So it's interesting. But I
Yeah.
know a lot of women they killed me for saying that. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It was like it doesn't matter if it means that you gonna fall off the face of the earth. Like you still put them first. And I was like, did you not hear nothing I said? So it's one of those tricky questions, you know?
But it's a real conversation because, there are women
Oh my
who have actually been very almost resentful because they chose not to first use their education and they invested in their child and their child's education.
God. Right.
And they are 45, 55, and they say, well, I don't have the degree because I put everything into the child. And there's some level of resentment.
Yeah.
Got you. Um,
It is not healthy too. If you think about it
oh,
mentally, it's not healthy to like your kids is your everything because they're gonna grow old and they're gonna leave. And
that
what are
that
you
too.
gonna do after they leave? You're gonna lose your mind because everything's been wrapped around your kids. At the end of the day, you came in this world by yourself and you're gonna leave by yourself. So you have to pour into yourself. And it's also showing your kids how to put themselves first and actually pour into their own cups.
Right. And I think it just also just makes them stronger, right? Like they
Yeah.
it's called growing pains. Cause like when they're younger, they might not understand it. But when they get
Mhm.
older, like you said earlier, when you get older, you just start to take heed to what your parents were saying, and that's when you start seeing life through a broader lens, right? Like
Right.
it's you're not looking at it with tunnel vision at that point. So that's very important. They need to see the strength. They need to see that balance, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we non-verbally train and condition our kids, you know. So
Right.
people have
Leading by
different
example.
perspectives, and that's why we're all created differently. Um, I mean, obviously we're gonna say like the obvious, but I'm curious of what you guys have to say about it. How important is it for fathers to be present in their kids' lives?
100% important. I think as a man, we can have as many careers as we want, chasing the money or whatever. But your kids is literally your first ministry.
Mm,
That's a part of you. That's a part of pouring into yourself. And if you aren't present in their lives, you're not only letting them down, but you're letting yourself down as a father, because you're missing out on these experiences. And in teaching them, these are your generations that are coming later and later and later. And so whatever you're setting the tone and not thinking about what happened before, because you're not responsible for that. But you are responsible for where you are now and what you're passing down to your kids. So it's extremely important to be present. That keeps your kids out of gangs, because that's why a lot of kids go to gangs, because they're not getting love at home. Dad's not around, so they're trying to find love. That's why a lot of men are chasing women, because they're trying to find that love from whatever parent they didn't get it from. It's like the presence, you have to be there, and sometimes it sacrifices. There might be $100,000 on the table, but your kid is still going to come first.
Right. Yeah, like I said, that's definitely important, and it's funny you said it, because you. Like I wrote my first book to be published soon. I finished it like 2 weeks ago, and that's one of the things I put in there. Like when you grow up and it's a lot of voids, it's like you're missing the love from the one person you expected from. When you don't get it, now you go out and chase it, right? Like I've been telling people, like it's in my book, right? Like I don't know why, and I tried for years to ignore it or deny it, but I'm not hiding from it anymore. Like, for me, I have a strong desire for validation from a woman. Like I feel like I need to be validated by a woman, right? Because it's been rough growing up for me, like me and my mom, we don't always get along, and like I said, she worked 2 jobs most of her life. So like that time that a child want to spend with them, it's been absent. So I think that's one thing about me is I'm always looking for that from a woman, So
yeah, that was me.
I thought it was ironic that you brought it up.
Yeah, that was me for a while, because me and my mom didn't have the greatest relationship, right? And it was like divorce with my dad, like all this drama. It's like I just kind of went into my own little bubble. But I found when I started to work on that relationship with myself and with her, the other things I stopped needing. Right. Because that's really what my inner kid was looking for that.
Right. All right, Robert, how important is it for fathers to be present in their kids' lives?
Immensely important. Separate and apart from discipline, it's by watching how you relate with their mother, they will learn how to relate to other women, and the girls will learn how to relate to the males. It's all designed a particular way, and a woman can never be a father. You have to be there to give them the balance. And when you look in the workplace, oftentimes it's the person that has that balance. You see that they're more self-assured. They many times are even better performers. So it's an important thing that follows them right through their life.
Right.
It's critical.
Like one thing I like to tell a lot of people, man, is your presence outweighs the presence, right? Like just you being there outweighs what you can give to a child, because that's materialistic things, and that's just something that's short-lived, something that's brief. But your actual presence in their life goes further. It's more meaningful, it's more impactful. So being there for your kids is number one. It should be a number one priority. Like for me, I don't care what I got going on. Like I always got to be there for my kids. And it's crazy because it's a lot of fathers that I know that's not there for their kids, and I just don't see how that's possible. You know what I'm saying? I've been frustrated with my kids' moms, and I say, I'm not coming by, and then like an hour later, I'm over there with my kids. So I can't see how a father could just willingly say, forget those kids.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
I never understand it either, honestly. Never.
It's like they're an extension of us. It's like,
right.
A lot of times when we have kids, it's almost like we relive our lives through them. We try to correct our wrongs and our faults. Yes, through them, right? And that I know I do that. Like my son, my oldest, he played football. I played football, but I ran track and I had behavior issues growing up. I had a lot of anger. And now I'm older. Obviously, I'm not in the league. So it's like now I'm trying to mold him to do the best he can do, be the best version of himself. So maybe he can get drafted to the league. Right. I think as fathers, we always look for that proud moment, that wow moment, that you know what I'm saying? We always want to find solace in our kids, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't know, I can't speak for nobody else. That's like I smile thinking about it. I just want my kids to be great. I want them to be greater than great. And in order for
Mhm.
them to reach that level of success, I have to show them the way. So
Yeah.
it's an ongoing process for me. It's you know what I'm saying? What would you about to say, Robert?
Yeah, I want to give an example. So when my eldest son started high school, I said, okay, you'll do you'll do three sports and key club. But daddy, I don't want to do key club, it's boring. You will do three subjects and key club. Okay. So at the end of third form, and he's going into fourth form, I said, all right, you now choose one sport, represent the school, and the key club. That I don't want to do. Anyway, he chose basketball. And I looked at the coach, I saw the coach, okay, he needed to be managed. So I said, all right. And a couple of the matches, I said, all right, is he ready to play for the school? Oh, yes. So the coach didn't show up a particular time on time, and my son didn't get to play because the other guys hugged it. So I really spoke with him very harshly. And I said, but you're the coach. You need to set an example for me there early. When is the next match? He'll be tomorrow. I said, great. So I went there and I saw Thomas on the same chair with the coach. Is he ready? Is it time now? And okay, he got the chance to play. So that was in fourth form. He represented the school in fourth form, fifth form, sixth form, university, 3 years university, and in a club league. They need that push that only a father can give. It's important.
You know, teaching them
Definitely.
how to get
Okay.
over the hard things, not
Yeah.
to give up.
And that's the crazy thing. We could teach them how to get over what we perceive as the hard thing, and then it's always going to be another hard thing. So that's the trials and tribulations of life, you know?
Yeah.
But we just got to continue to be strong and show them that strength, you know? Um, so, okay, let me ask you this. I'll start with Robert. What's the best gift that you received from your father?
Wow, it has to be one. Okay, so well, separate from my mother, which they both provided education, they provided a stable home. My father was a good speaker and a networker, and I
Hmm.
think I got that from him. He occasionally would be on television, and I would rush home to see him when he was on any of those interview programs. I was also a Freemason, so I would, at the functions, I would see him speak. And he had a saying that good friends were better than pocket money. Better
Hmm.
to have a good friend than have pocket money, and that has actually stayed with me. So I am a decent networker, and my two eldest sons are also excellent networkers.
Mhm. For
Okay.
me, I will say his time, honestly.
Hmm.
And when you don't really get much of it, when you do get it, it feels like gold. So one of the things I've always loved doing with my dad was going to like sporting events, or we could just go hang out, eat, or whatever. But there was times where the conflict between my mom and my dad would ruin me going to go kick it with my dad at Astros game or something. So I'm a really big Astros fan, and just being with him was good enough for me as a kid, and I see it even now because I was like, dang, I missed out on a lot of those times, but I had to reframe it for myself, and I said, okay, I missed out as those times as a kid, but now I have a son, and I can do two for one. I can hang out with my son and my dad at the same time, doing those things that I love to do, and for me, that's even to this day, his time just hanging out. Like I don't need much. Let's just kick it. I can talk, have conversation.
Hmm. So I think for me, I would say the best gift my father gave me is his guidance. Really, like you said, like to piggyback off what you said, his time. The one thing about my father, we ain't always see eye to eye either, and he always said everything in life is about perception. right? So you conduct yourself in a positive manner, right? It takes you a long way. And he was big on intelligence, right? And that's one thing I took from him. When it came to school, if I didn't understand something, or I didn't know what a word meant, he never, not once. It could be the smallest word, not once did he give me the answer or the definition. He says, "You see that dictionary over there? You got to pick that book up and read it."
Read it.
So and I hated it, but as I got older, and I tell my kids, listen, because one thing my father always told us is don't let nobody say you stupid or dumb,
Exactly.
because by definition that just means the inability to learn. So as long as we have the ability to learn, nobody can ever say we're stupid or dumb. Right. That's one thing he instilled into me. So I tell my kids all the time. One day my oldest told me, "Oh, everybody keeps saying I'm dumb, so I guess I'm dumb." I'm like, "Are you capable of learning?" He said, "Well, yes." I'm like, "Then you're not stupid, and don't let nobody tell you that, because once you allow that to seep into your pores, you're going to start believing that, right? And that's just you standing in your own way, and you're hindering yourself. So just pick up a book, and like, I love to read. That's one thing I like to do. I love to read. If it's anything intellectual, I like it. I like thought-provoking conversations. So anytime I can engage in thought-provoking conversations with somebody, I'm ecstatic. I love it. I like to be able to jump in any conversation, like my father used to do, and be able to hold my own. My father, no matter where he was, you could be talking, he'd jump right in there. It's been a lot of times people counting him out, like, you don't know what we talk about. And he showed them. He said, I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's one thing I took from my father, right? So, like, his dedication and his presence just is the greatest gift he gave me.
Yeah.
So that's good. Do you think Black women are the strongest in the household? Like, overall, like, not strength wise, but like it's their character and just,
Yes and no. But yes, women are strong. Women are way, and I think it looks how you look at strength too. But if you think about it, as men, we're focused on like providing, protecting, and so we're out doing these things, like leaving the house, depending on what your occupation is, right? But you have to make all these sacrifices, and who's there to pick up the slack when you're not there because you're making these sacrifices? Her,
right?
And there's times where she may be tired, but she's still going because she's like, I have to do this because I'm part of the team.
Right. Robert?
Very interesting question. Research shows that Jamaica is one of the countries where you're most likely managed by a woman. The law school, the graduates are 90% female. The universities at the undergraduate level in Jamaica, the graduates are 80% plus females. So they're more focused. They have also showed they have been able to overcome challenges. I think it was the World Bank or one of those showed that in our countries in the Caribbean too, that money put in the hands of a woman goes further than it goes in the hands of a male. So nearly everything that you look at, you realize that women are performers and they're leading ahead. They're actually starting businesses at a faster rate than men of their own age group. So in everything you look at, they're stronger in the home and they're stronger out there in the marketplace. So therefore, we're concerned about males being marginalized because we're not stepping up as women are.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. What was you about to say, Adam?
I would say, if you study a lot of the greats, like, billionaires and stuff, a lot of their wives are managing in the background.
Yeah.
But the male is typically the face, and the woman is just like, because women are way more organized than us by default. To be completely honest, like what he just said it like money in a woman's hand will go farther than money in a man's hand. And I learned that from experience to the point. So I said, hey, wifey, here you go. Take this and make sure we going right with it.
Like, overall, I would agree with that notion, but I think for me, money in my hands go longer. That's just me. That's because my father used to teach me and my younger brother money management, and I know the women I've dealt with. money go longer in my hands. Like I know how to manage some money. Like I know how to put wants over needs every day. You know what I'm saying?
But see,
I
that's
used to go and
situational too.
say, I never do nothing for myself. It's plenty of times I go to the store with the intent to get something for myself, but everybody else to get but me. Like my kids get things, and I sit in the car. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how I drew this play
Nothing.
up. But I make sure my kids have what they need, and then occasionally I surprise them with something. And the one thing that I also took from my father was, I tell you one thing, my father has never in his life promised me and my younger brother something and never came through. So I told my
That's
kids, I will
important.
never promise you something and never give it to you. So if I say the words I promise, stay on my ass, because I will make sure you get it, right? Because I just don't believe in lying to your kids in that aspect, because it could be damaging to some kids. You got to think
Oh
about it.
yeah,
Like,
it is.
keep telling them, oh, I promise this, I promise this. I don't even like my mom promised the kids. I'm like, please stop doing that, because you're
I
damaging
hate
them. And then
that.
they start to think like, oh, she don't love me, she don't care about me. You know what I'm saying? So I can never promise my kids something and not come through. I'll tell them in a heartbeat, I'll try, or we'll talk about it, or we can see, but I'm not gonna say the words I
I'm gonna
promise.
plan it out.
Yeah, even if I feel like I'm 1,000% capable of doing something, I still won't promise, because God forbid something happens.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just me.
But see, that's kind of situational too, though. You said you learned financial literacy, but there's a lot of guys. I'm one of them. I didn't learn financial literacy as a kid. She
Now,
did.
okay. See,
And
that's
so
the thing.
in those instances, I don't think a lot of us did, because there's a lot
Yeah,
of, especially as black fathers, black men.
yeah.
There's a lot of missing fathers.
That's true. And I know my father was damn near MIA. Like I said, he was off and on drug addict and stuff. So, and I seen him in the summer times. And then he chose his addiction over his kids on numerous accounts. So I get it. But when he was sober, it was a lot that I took from that glass bottle. I'll tell you that. You
Oh,
know.
actually, got to
Um.
take advantage.
So do you think that your kid's mother pushed you beyond your own limitations?
No,
You said no. You don't
not in a
think she?
bad way. Not in a bad way. She pushes me because she knows I'm capable of more. Right? She
Right.
knows that I can do better than what I'm doing at that moment in that current stage. So she sees it. She knows. But like in a negative way, no, not at all.
No, I don't mean a negative way. I'm saying what I'm saying. I guess what I was saying is, do you feel as though she motivates and encourages you? That's what I'm getting at,
Oh,
basically. Like, does she
absolutely.
push you beyond your limitations? Like, yeah, you put a cap on yourself, and then she say, no, you're worth more than that,
Yeah.
and you're capable of much more. And does she push you to be the better version of yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I'm joking. I said she's my number one fan, because if nobody claps, she's clapping. Nobody
There
saying
you
good job,
go.
I'm proud of you. She says it. And so it for me it helps, because it's like, okay, you believe in me, let's go. Right? It's just something about that woman's presence who's pushing the man just makes him go to a new height sometimes.
It's highly attractive too. It is. It's like, dang, okay. Especially for
Like, you
me, I'm
deserve
like, damn, my
better.
mom ain't even do that shit for me. You doing it? That goes.
Exactly.
That's like winning the
Who
lottery in
sent
itself.
you?
Yeah, who
Right.
sent you? Is God talking to me right now? What about for you, Robert?
In my case, it's not a push, but she's like running beside me, in American football, and being the blocker and defending. So in other words, if I have stuff working on, like in the time I was writing my book, man, she's doing all of the housework. She's doing all of the stuff. Okay. When I worked with Mars and I was traveling regularly nearly every other week, she was doing what she had to do without complaints.
Hmm.
So that's the sort of support
Support.
that allowed me to focus on what I had to do. And that support for me was what was critical, because other things that you've seen that I've been involved in. If I had to be home changing diapers every day, then I may not have been able to do the things that I've done. So I'm eternally grateful for her support,
All
because
right.
her allowed me to do what I needed to do.
Gotcha. Now, do you believe that a man got to be the sole provider, meaning like take care of most of the bills, or do you believe in 50-50? That's a good question.
That's how I grew up, 50-50. One parent did the light bill, the other parent did the water bill. One paid the mortgage, the other one did something else. So I grew up with that. So, and I've been with my wife for 30 odd years.
You said
That's
30?
what we've done it. 30 odd years. 30 odd years.
Woo! That's time, man. More power to you.
That's man.
Shit. That's amazing.
That is amazing though. But when I hear those big numbers, I always like freeze. Like, dang, that's a long time.
And it's not uncommon in our country either. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess a lot of younger persons think of relationships as being disposable, but
right.
You know, that's
it's just hard work. At the end of the day, it's just hard work. And then, so I think for me, when you hear football numbers like that, it's like, whoo, you were stronger than me. Like, you persevered through it, because ain't nobody perfect. But you know what? Another thing that I love is when I'm out in the community and you see the old people that say, oh, we was married for 50 years. And we were watching them, and it's like you see them smiling and laughing and just holding hands and just living life as if it was the very first moment together. You know, that's beauty. You know, but nowadays it's hard. A lot of people, you argue every day. It's crazy. But what about you, Adam? You think you believe in a man gotta be the main provider, or 50-50?
I think honestly, we're a team, right? Especially if you think about marriage, you're a team. What's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. There's really no 50-50, right? So it's like we're supposed to be teams. Let's work together, and you might be helping me in my business. We're bringing in money for our family, our household. So I don't really care for like the 50-50 gender role thing.
Got you. I don't know. For me, the sort of piggyback off what you were saying, I don't believe in a 50-50. I don't believe in a man gotta do most of the providing, right? I feel like like you said, you work as a team, like where if you're falling, I'm gonna help you get back on your feet, and vice versa. I feel like once you have that kind of cohesion, then life is grand, right? I'm not gonna put stipulations or limitations. I got friends that leave relationships because they're like, oh no, this been the second month that you fell short, so I'm done. And I think that's just cruel and unusual. And I think once you start putting those kind of stipulations into a relationship, I think you're going into that relationship with the wrong thought process. That's just me.
Yeah. It's transactional, not relational.
But then again, I've heard a lot of men say, oh no, I'm the man, or if you're the man, you gotta be paying like at least 90%. And I'm like, shit. Because we all got our faults. We all struggle with certain things. It's like, why would you put those high expectations on yourself and say this is what a man's supposed to be? You know what I'm saying? Because God forbid you lose it, then what?
Exactly. And you're putting all that extra pressure on yourself.
What'd you say, Robert?
Suppose she's earning more than you. That 90%.
A lot of men can't handle that.
I was going to be my next question. You said a lot of men can't handle that. So, Robert, you think could you handle your wife making more than you?
I'd love that happened for a while, for a couple of years. Right.
Did it bother you, or did you say did it bother you, or was it okay?
No, it's okay. It's okay. If 90% of the law school graduates are females, if 80% of the undergraduates are females, the writing is on the wall. They're gonna outpace us pretty soon. So either we're gonna have to step up or recognize it is what it is and work it out.
Right.
Yeah, because the men are actually stepping back. This is not a part of the conversation we've had yet, but the reality is they are complaining about finding appropriate husbands.
Right.
People who can match them intellectually and have that same conversation that they're having.
Right.
So that intellect that you're developing is going to translate into greater income.
Yeah.
So,
writing's on the wall.
Now I like that. Now for me, like overall, it doesn't bother me if you make more money than me, right? Because I've been in several relationships where that was the case. Because for me, like I said, I go on any one of my relationships with the best intentions, and I look at it as a partnership. So I don't look at it like, oh, you make more money than me, blah blah blah. What makes it difficult is when you weaponize it. You sit
Right.
there and throw it in my face, and that's where it becomes a problem, you know. And I know starting into a new relationship, I think that's always going to be one of my concerns. It's been women that I've wanted to date, but I've been intimidated because, like, she made such good money and her career path, and I was like, well, I can't measure up, you know what I'm saying? So it's been times that I felt intimidated in that aspect, but in a relationship, no, it don't bother me. I look at it like we together. All right, we getting this money together. Whether you making more money than me or
Right.
not, we getting this money together.
Yeah, it
I
don't
go into it
matter.
with the
Right?
right partnership.
Yeah. We
I
we
don't
in
see
this
dollar
together.
signs.
We're choosing to be together. We're choosing to take the long road. This is not just me versus you who makes more. It's okay, what are we bringing in? Because if you do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like me versus you perspective, you're never going to get on one accord.
No,
And
and
and so
you're never
that
gonna prosper. Right.
exactly it shows up in your other areas, because when you ask that question about providing, I know who's ever watching this, 90% of people's brain went to finances, but there's
Yeah.
other ways to provide.
Wow, I'm glad you said that. Oh my God, like just a week ago, I said that. I said what was the question? My question today last week was, I said, can an unemployed man still be the leader of their household? And I
Absolutely.
swear it was 100% women said no. I'm like, how? I was like, it's other ways a man can provide. And I'm telling you, I at least asked at least 20 women, right? And all 20 of them said, if he not working, he cannot provide in no way, shape, or form. I'm like, that's not true.
That's
Like
not
what if
true.
he's taking care of everything else? And then I swear, these women all said, oh no, I gotta swipe left.
Let's
I
see.
gotta end that relationship. I'm like, I was like, what if you've been in a relationship for 7 years, and then all of a sudden he was unemployed for like 6 months? Let's say 6 months. I'm like, you saying he's less than a man? And they all said yes. And I was like, that's crazy. The world's cruel.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
women, because you
crazy.
also have to look back too. A lot of women were raised like that. That if a man can't
Yeah.
provide finances, then he's nothing. Or you know what I mean? Like you see it now. People want these, oh, I want to go on these $300 dates. I want to go hang off the side of the balcony. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. But it's just like I am more than just a bank account. And a lot of women
Yes.
see men as bank accounts.
Bank accounts. I don't, I hate it. I don't like it. It's like, as a man, to hear these
Horrible.
things and to witness these things, it's like, it's disheartening. I'm like, this is crazy. Because guess what? If we turn around and we exhibit those same traits and characteristics towards a woman,
We
we
sassy.
every monster in the book.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like,
We a
women always want to
narcissist.
say they want to be treated as equals, but really they don't. They want to be the dominant figure. That's it. It's their way of the highway. And I get such flack when I say stuff like that, but it's the truth. And I'm learning that nowadays the men are becoming the women and the women are becoming the men. And that's crazy. And maybe I'm old school, but I can't have that. I can't. I gotta be
Right.
the man in every situation.
So the solution, gentlemen, is choose wisely.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
choose
That's what I was
wisely.
getting ready to say.
and you gotta ask
Choose wisely.
beforehand,
And that's
are you ready
and
to
that's why I keep
trade,
telling myself,
etc.
if they're toxic, if they're saying all these negative things about a man and what a man's supposed to be, then they not the right fit anyways, whether it's a relationship or a friend. So I keep telling myself like, then I'm better off without them. I don't go back and forth. It's not worth my time because they're already gonna be
Just
set in their ways.
you gotta think about it like this too. How can a woman have an expectation of something she's not,
There you go.
or something
I
she
like
may
that.
not have even seen herself?
Right. Right. And a lot of it, yeah. And it's crazy. A lot of these women, they all they do is project, right? They was missing that from their lives, their father figure
Mhm.
or male presence in their life, and now they have this disdain for men or this grudge or this resentment, and now they being extra hard on a man, right? And it's
Mhm.
crazy. A lot of women say there's no good men left in the world. No, it is. We just not looking for you because you put these high expectations. You set the bar way too high, and it's unrealistic. So you have to come back down to earth and be realistic. And that good man is there because there's a lot of good men in the world. It
You know,
is.
a friend of
You
mine,
attract what you are.
a friend of mine said once that before he gets very serious with a woman, he looks at the relationship she has with her father and mother, with her parents.
Oh, I knew he was gonna get there. That's tough. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna tell you why I said that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to say more. You know, he looks on that relationship because that will inform how she will relate to him.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I see. You said it's true. So this thing, I see. I want to believe that, but at the same time, I'm biased because if you look at my relationship with my mother, a woman might say, "Oh, nah, he ain't no good man." But I really feel like I'm a good man. It's just that me and my mom just bump heads way too much, and so that's why I said it's tough because I don't want a woman to look at it, the son mother dynamic, and judge me off of it per se.
But they might not
But
though.
but for the
Honestly and
most part,
truly,
I agree.
man, honestly and
Would you
truly,
say?
when me and my wife got together, I wasn't on good terms with my parents at all. Like I wasn't talking to them, but she was the one who
Yeah,
was like, "Nah, you have to fix this." So you
yeah,
have those, and like I said before he started talking, was you attract what you are, right?
yeah.
If you're acting toxic, you're toxic. Like that's just
Oh,
what it is, right? And so you will have those women who are going to come in and judge you. You're just like, if you're judging me at the beginning, you're not here for me, right? But is there also will be those women who came in and they will see things and say,
yeah,
I can see where this needs to be fixed, right? Because women, they take what you give them and they give it back to you, right? So if you
yeah.
give them energy, they're going to form to give it back to them. You give them seed, they're going to give you a child, right? So they want to come in,
I
they want
like
to
that.
fix. They want to fix. They want to fix. They want things to be better because they have a higher standard. Like think about it like this: when you're a single bachelor, you have the bare minimum in your apartment or wherever you're staying at. It's not until a woman steps foot like multiple times where you start seeing pictures on the wall, a nice couch, a nice table. It's like they come
Right.
in and a good one will come in and they will just pour into
And, and that's when you find you know headed in the right direction. You know, for me, I'm a little different because I have OCD. So no matter where I live, women coming there or male men for that matter, and like, oh, who live here? Oh, you got a maid? I'm like, nah, it's me. And I'm like, don't no man dust and do a. I got OCD, so I have to.
it.
Oh my goodness. Nah, I'll show you why I'm laughing. Like my kid's mom. That's just my one kid's mom. Unless they aren't allowed to, someone to clean it because I have OCD, and part of being OCD is like I like things the way I have it. Like if I have
Right.
picture frames facing a certain way, like I mean, pictures are to be viewed, right? Not pulled down and moved. So like I don't know. I like to do the cleaning. So that's what she was getting at. So it's not that she's not allowed or nobody's allowed to clean up. It's just it's not to my
Not your
standards.
standard.
So even if you clean it, I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm gonna go behind you and I'm gonna
That's my
yeah.
wife.
I just can't help it. So
I got to the point I was like, you do it.
I'm
You have the
definitely
higher standard. Do it.
but for the most part, you're right though. Like men, we don't typically go through life and
I'm
thinking about
also,
cleaning and doing those
I'm
things.
sorry, but what I'm also hearing is communication.
Yep.
Yeah, communication. I want to give you an example. So my wife is Seventh-day Adventist. Okay, so which means that she goes to the church on the Saturday. All right. I grew up in a traditional. My mother and father were Roman Catholic, but they didn't go to church that regularly. But they did go to church. Now, my when we started first living together, she was very annoyed because on a Sunday morning, I was sitting down watching the TV, Sunday morning classics, and she would be sweeping the house. You know, and she would say, "Move your foot, lift up your leg, move up your leg." And so one day I said to her after this happened a couple of weeks, I said, "So you think I'm lazy, right?" So yes, because on Sunday I'm cleaning the house. And I said, "Okay, how you are growing up is that you went to church on a Saturday and you did your housework on a Sunday. How I grew up was that I did the housework stuff on the Saturday and relaxed on the Sunday.
Mhm.
And you get it? And
Right.
then you saw the light bulb pop. So sometimes, we are who we are from where we were before. We brought that into the relationship. They bring who they are in
Mhm.
the relationship. And sometimes they can't be reconciled. So that's where communication is so critical
Right.
because
You got
you
to
have
talk.
different parties.
Right. So I do have three more questions before we wrap up. So the first question would be, has there ever been a time when you doubted yourself or your father's skills or your skills as a father?
Oh yeah, my son is very he wants to be the life of the party all the time, right? He does things because he wants to see if he can get away with it, or
Right.
somebody influenced him to do it. And so at one point it got so bad, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not being a good father. Maybe there's something about me that's not showing up in the right way. But then I
Right.
have to like self-evaluate, and I was like, no, he's just doing this because he just wants to. Like it's,
Right.
I can keep showing up and keep talking to him, but and I realize in those type of moments that we can, as fathers, we can be there, we can try to teach as much as we can, but that life experience and the consequences sometimes hit better.
Got you, Robert. Has there been
Yeah,
a
I
time where
give an
you doubted your father's
example of
skills?
when I was 21 years old, or when my eldest son was 21 years old. So there was an example. The other one, my youngest son is more defined as more an introvert, but he's really just focused. So when I want to, let's go swimming, let's go do this, do that, and he said, no, he's okay. And sometime wondering, hey, well, what is it? Is it that he doesn't like me? You know? But then after a while, I got to realize that, okay, it's just who he is and who I
Right,
am, and we're different.
right.
Got you. I'm pretty sure the list could go on. Like I know one example for me is when I doubted my father's skills. Is sort of like what I said earlier. It's like I set these house rules, and when I don't abide by them, right? Like one thing I always say is I don't do the arguing and stuff like that or the yelling. And when I find myself yelling, and then my kids reciprocate that, they'll start yelling, right? And then when I say something, they're like, "Well, you do it." It's those moments when I'm like, dang. Well, once again, they put me in check, but it's like, dang, okay, I'm not leading by example. So then it's those moments where it makes me feel like I'm failing as a father, right? Because I want to portray myself a certain way, and then when I don't do that, it's just like make me feel less than at times. So I would say that's one
But
example for me.
let's reframe that because sorry, it's the coach in me. Let's reframe that because you're thinking, oh, I slipped up and they're watching me, so I'm not showing up how I want to show up. That is the mask of perfectionism. You're trying to show up as a perfect father when you're not a perfect human to begin with. And
Right.
so, but take those moments when it's like, oh, I set this standard, my children had to correct me. Now that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for you to show them you correcting yourself, you adapting, you okay, I slipped, but this is the standard. I got to come back up to that standard.
Yeah. I like that. That's I'm big on poetry. You just remind me of like poetry. Like poetry in motion. I love that. But it's easier said than done for me though.
Yeah.
Because I know it's
It comes with
nothing
time
like
though.
perfect, but I think we all want to be, especially as fathers. I think we want to be perfect, and I just don't like setting the bar for myself, and I'm not reaching it. I don't like to be teetering. I don't like to be just inches away. I like to grab that bar and just be like, yeah, this is who I am, and this is the father I am. So
But
like
it's
I said,
also
it's
your
easier said than done.
responsibility
But
to
I'm
show them the messy side too.
yeah, that's true. Because yeah, that's see. Now that you said that, it's like I don't want them to grow up thinking their life is perfect, right?
Yeah,
So,
you're not
like you said,
Superman.
reframe that. I have to work on that. It's a lot of things we work on as fathers, as men.
Hmm.
So it's a learning curve. So
Oh,
hopefully, my
absolutely.
biggest thing is when they're older, I hope the legacy that I leave is a good one. I hope they look back at me and say my father was a great father. He did everything he had to. Nah, that's my biggest wish.
Oh yeah, just be
Um,
present.
let's see. All right, um what does being a black father mean to you, Robert?
Black father for me means that I am a father who gives my children every opportunity, and I live my life in a way that I can be respected.
Okay. I like that. For me, it's power, strength. It's a safe space to be a nurturer. Something we're not seen as. For me,
Mm,
it's just being present, being the opportunity to impact the future generations, right? We always talk about the past and slavery and all this other stuff. And it's, as Black people, we've dealt with a lot. And being that beacon, even as a father, not even with my own kids, but other kids that I'm around, right? Just even being that figure for them, it helps the future generations. It helps us as a community. So being present, being love, being father, who I'm called to be.
Nice, nice. My audio went out for a little bit, but I'm back.
All good.
So yeah, so for me, like, um, what a Black father means to me is like you were saying, like,
I think he just went out.
Some internet issues.
Yeah, it kicked him out. Give him a second to come back.
We can get on back. What is his final comments?
Let's see. Oh no, we lost the host. Can you hear us?
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we
We
heard
can see
you.
you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my I don't know what happened to my camera. But for me, I was saying, to be a Black father just means, like, that strength, that the power. I think that's very important in the household. Um, yeah, this is so odd. This never happened to me before. But yeah, just strength and that dominance, and just I think you need to exhibit the strength in the household. Um,
Absolutely.
but now the last question I want to say is, uh, what advice would you give to new fathers or men that's looking to be fathers or thinking about being fathers?
Well, my response would be to ensure that you're present and shower them with love. You got to be present in their life. You got to be present in their life. And they need to
Right.
know that you love them. So, sometimes the material things can't be given to the level that they want. They must know that you will love them, because that's what gives them their rock. That's their bedrock. And that's
Exactly.
critical.
Gotcha.
For me, it piggyback off what Robert said, be present as much as you can. There's going to be times where you make sacrifices, but don't be afraid to show them the messy side, also in the tailored side, right? But if you're looking to be a father for the first time, or you're a new father, I would say really focus on healing yourself. You bleed
Mm.
on your kids if you don't heal, and you're just going to pass down what you went through. So focusing on, then this goes back to putting yourself first, right? Focusing on
Right.
yourself, healing and preparing for them, because your child may be one today, but you're going to blink and they're going to be like 5 or 6. You're going to blink again, it's going to be 10. So it's, if you're starting to do the work now before it really matters, in which it still matters now, but before it really, like, they can remember it, you'll be a whole different person. So
Right.
self-development, just continue to grow within yourself. And once you grow within yourself, you'll show up as a great father.
Right. And then closing, I would say for me, like, advice I would give to new fathers or people or men that's looking to be fathers is patience, right? Learn patience. If you're not patient already,
Man,
try to find the time to be, if whoever you argue with the most, try to go to them and just exhibit
work on
that
patience.
patience, right? Just try to work
Yeah,
on that, because that goes a long way. Because when it's gonna be a lot of restless nights where you got to wake up in the morning, and then when they get older, especially when they start talking, because when as soon as they start talking, they don't know how to be quiet. They just want to talk, 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 and they start
my kids
identifying
are lame.
things. And they say it like 100 times. Okay, I heard you. So you just got to be very patient. And that's one thing. I think my kids have made me a better man all the way around, because
I think your kids
like
do, yes,
going back to that patience thing, is being patient with them allows me to be patient with other people. Right. It's like I'm forced to be patient with my kids. I'm not going to yell at my kids the way I would yell at somebody else in the streets. So having kids, I think for me, is that patience. I've grown comfortable with being patient, to where like normally I will argue with this person, but I'm not going to do that, because now my kids show me a different way. They show me that I can get my point across without doing all the yelling. Just be a little bit more humble, be a little bit more patient. So that's one thing I would say, is just be patient, and just do a lot of planning. Preparation goes a long way. So,
and also have grace for yourself.
Yeah, grace for yourself. And also what Robert said earlier, selection. Be mindful of who you trying to have kids with. That's important. Please. By far, because if you're not compatible, don't have no kids with that person, because your life is going to be upside down for a long time. But
and some things you learn as you're being a father, as your kids are growing. There's some things you learn. So I meant to say that don't try to know everything before the child gets here. Just take the journey and learn as you're going, and have grace for yourself when you mess up.
All right. Well, it's my first episode in I think like 2 months, so it felt good to be back, and I'm looking forward to having another one like on Thursday or something. So that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope all the viewers got something from it, and I hope the messages was well received. Continue to like, share, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Appreciate all the love and support I've been getting throughout this journey. And anything else you guys want to say before we close?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and we had a good discussion. And I'm proud of us as men and as fathers.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Piggyback, thank you for even the invite to come on, right? And being able for us to come and show up as authentically as we are, right? But I don't have anything. Everybody just be blessed, man. Continue to pour into yourself, love yourself. Okay, come check out my show if you want to, the Inner King Initiative, specifically for men, where we have conversations like this, right? So if you need more avenues, come on over.
Now, do you have? I meant to ask you earlier. Yours is just live, or you do virtual as well?
Mine's just live. I did virtual for like 2 years, and I was like, I don't really care for this for real. And I also wanted to get in a room with people and actually be able to shake hands and make connections. So I just switched to live, in person.
Yeah, I got you. Now there is something I'm looking to do is do some live. I mean, I'll still do virtual, but I definitely want to have a studio where I can do some live session, because I think it's a little bit more personable. Like you said, shake hands and just So I've watched your last episode, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's pretty good. And I like your backdrop, the whole scenery. It's nice. But I'll continue to support as always, and we can definitely stay in touch. And then you guys are more than welcome to come on any other shows. Absolutely. But so just enjoy the rest of your night. I'm sorry. All right. Yeah. So enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll stay in touch.
All right. Have a good one. Nice to meet you, Robert.
Same here.